IXL section R1, trigonometric ratios, sine, cosine, and tangent. So it was brought to my attention by a young cobra named Abriana that some of my soldiers are struggling with this IXL, which is due soon for your intensive math class. So here's a quick little video I put together with some examples from IXL section R1, which will hopefully clear up any confusion and show you the way a cobra would approach these problems to get the correct answer. So let's look at a few examples. The first example, and by the way, the reason I think you guys are maybe struggling is because you don't know how to simplify correctly when you have a radical sign in your answer, which is fine. We haven't really seen a lot of that in our geometry class, so I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that's probably the reason. Our first example here is pretty basic, but I'm going to do it just to go over something that I'm going to be doing in almost every problem. I'm going to be using the Pythagorean theorem in pretty much every problem to first find the missing side before I can answer the question. Alright, so as we all know, it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Alright, so in this problem, the hypotenuse is 73. So I'm doing 73 to the second power. Over here, let's put a squared plus 55 squared. Alright, now you could do this in one step in the calculator. Just do, well, not in one step, but I'm saying like you could just go in the calculator 73 squared minus 55 squared equals, and let me do that and then we'll take it from there. Alright, so 73 squared, actually let me write it all out so that nobody gets confused. Alright, so we have that, right? Now I'm going to move 3025 and subtract it. Alright, so 5329 minus 3025 equals. Alright, so a squared is equal to 2304, and the square root of that number, a is going to equal the square root of 2304. Okay, so a equals 48. Alright, so this side is 48. Like I said, this particular problem doesn't have anything. It's pretty basic, all right? But let me do one basic one, and then we'll go over the ones with radical signs. All right, so the tangent of angle H. Here's angle H. Remember that tangent is always the opposite side over the adjacent side. So in this case, the tangent of H is going to equal 55 over 48. And I would leave as a proper, okay, you can leave your answer as an improper fraction, and that's it. You can't simplify this any further, so for this one, that would be the answer. Like I said, this one's easy. Most of you guys are probably okay with this one. Alright, let's look at some of the ones that have radical signs, which I think are the ones that you guys are struggling with. Alright, so look at this one. They want us to find the tangent of angle B. Alright, so the tangent of angle B is the opposite side, which is this one, divided by the adjacent side, which is this one. Alright, so it's going to be the tangent of B equals 3, excuse me, 3 square root of 3 over 3 square root of 5. Okay, here's where I need you to pay attention. Alright? Okay, so a couple things. First of all, the obvious that you guys should know is that the 3's cancel out. So let's get rid of that, alright? So now I'm left with this. Alright, here's the issue. You cannot leave a radical sign in the denominator. You're not allowed when you know how you got to simplify all your answers? Okay, if you have a radical sign in the denominator, that answer is not considered simplified. You got to get rid of the radical sign in the denominator. Let me show you how you get rid of it. It's the same for every problem. All right? The way you get rid of it is you got to multiply the numerator and the denominator, both of them. You got to multiply by whatever you got here. Let me show you why. You multiply by whatever you have right here. Let me say that better, actually. You multiply by whatever, you got to multiply by the radical and the number underneath the radical is what I'm trying to say. All right, so if you got square root of 5 here, I got to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 5. All right, why am I doing that? Because look, square root of 5 times square root of 5 is going to equal 5. That gets rid of the radical sign. If you don't understand how I got 5, look over here. Square root of 5 times square root of 5 is going to equal square root of, I multiply the 5 times the 5, I get 25. And the square root of 25 is 5. Basically, whenever you multiply a number underneath the radical sign times the same number underneath the radical sign, the answer is always going to be whatever number is here. The answer is always going to be, in this case, 5. So if I multiply square root of 99 times square root of 99, if I were to do this, the answer is 99. Learn that trick, because once you memorize that, we could go a lot quicker. All right, but that's always the situation. So square root of 5 times square root of 5 is 5. Okay, now on the top, square root of 3 times square root of 5, you multiply what's underneath the radical sign, and you get that. Sensei losing his voice. All right, so you got that. Now look, I always got to check whether that could be simplified. In this problem, this cannot be simplified. Okay, so that's my answer. Don't worry, we're going to see several in a second that do got to be further simplified, and you'll see how I do that. All right, but for this problem, this would be the answer. All right, let's look at another example. Miyagi-Do messed me up. All right, so look at this one. We got to find the sine of angle V. All right, so sine is the opposite side, which is this one, divided by the hypotenuse, which is this one. So sine of V is going to equal 8 square root of 5 divided by 16 square root of 5. Well, this one's easy. All right, this one's very easy because the square root of 5 over the square root of 5 cancels out. So you're going to have 8 over 16, so your answer is 1/2. All right, this one's easy, but whatever. I put it in there, so there you have it. We'll get to some tougher ones in a second. All right, let's look at the next example. All right, so this one. So before I begin, let me find the hypotenuse by using the Pythagorean theorem. All right, so when I plug these in, I'm going to have square root of 66 to the second power plus square root of 22 to the second power equals c squared. Now, let me remind you, I said that whenever you have something like square root of 5 times square root of 5, the answer is 5, right? All right, let's use that trick right now. Square root of 66 times square root of 66 is 66. Square root of 22 times square root of 22 is 22. Look how easy that makes our lives. All right, now I add these up, and I'm going to have 88 equals c squared. So, okay, now here I'm going to go over how to simplify, because to get c, I got to get the square root of 88. Okay, now, let me change colors here. Okay, I mean, it's possible that I've done this for a few problems in geometry, but I'm honestly not sure. I think I did it in the reviews for the Algebra 1 EOC, but I can't remember if we've done it in geometry class. So basically, look, I got to break 88 up into, because, okay, before I do that, let me just tell you something. They want you to write your answer in simplified, rationalized form. In other words, they don't want you to put this in the calculator and write a decimal. They want you to put your final answer either as a whole number, if it's possible to get a whole number, which it probably isn't, or with a radical sign, but simplified. So what I got to do is break up 88 into the factors that make up 88, like 4 times 11. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, I meant 4 times 22. Okay? Hold up, I messed up there, and now let me backtrack a second. I'm trying to break down 88 to see what is the greatest factor of 88 that I could get the square root of. All right. Let me try to think about it in my brain a second before I continue. Yeah, actually, I broke it up correctly. All right, so let me show you what I mean. All right. The factors are the numbers that you multiply to get 88, right? All right, so look, 4 times 22 gives me 88. I could get the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Once you get the square root of a number, the square root goes outside the radical sign. So the 2 will go outside the radical sign. Now the 22, I'm not going to be able to get the square root of that, or to break it down any further, so that's going to stay inside the radical sign. So this square root of 88 simplified is 2 square root of 22. If you didn't get that, I'm going to explain it a second way. Give me 1 second, all right? So this side right here is 2 square root of 22. Now I could tell when I explain something and maybe it didn't come out that smooth, and that happened right there. So let me explain it a second way that may help you, right? Okay, for the second way, I'm going to explain it. So if you didn't understand how I broke this down, actually, even if you did understand, look at my second explanation, because it'll help you understand even better, okay? Look, to simplify this, all right, you're not always going to choose the best combination of numbers that leads you to the answer quickly. So let me choose a combination of numbers that does not give me the answer right away. For example, let's say instead of breaking it up into 4 times 22 like I did, let's say instead you decide to write 8 times 11, which is fine. You can do that, okay? Now look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep breaking up the factors of 88 until the only factors I have left are all the prime numbers that you multiply to get 88. Let me show you what I mean. Is 11 a prime number? Yeah, it is. So let me put a little box around it. Is 8 a prime number? No, it's not. So let me continue to break down 8. I can break down 8 into 2 times 4. Okay, now is 2 a prime number? Yes, it is. Is 4 a prime number? No, it's not. So let me break it up into 2 times 2. Okay, now everything I have in a little square are all the prime numbers that I can multiply to get 88. What I mean by that is if I multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 11, I get 88. Trust me. Okay, now look. The numbers that I have like circled or whatever, if they appear twice, that means you can get the square root of that number. What I mean is this, the 2, you see how it appears twice? Then that means that this represents the number 4. Remember I had the number 4 here? That represents the number 4, which I can get the square root of. So if the number appears twice, it's going to go outside the box, like that, right? It appears twice, put it 1 time outside the box. This number now only appears once, and this number only appears once. So they're going to stay underneath the radical sign. Multiply them together, and they stay right there. I'll try to do several examples of this in the upcoming examples. I mean, hopefully you've seen that before, what I just did. Because if you haven't, I could see how you might be a little confused, all right? Anyways, where was I? All right, so we did all that just to find the hypotenuse. I mean, really, once you know how to do it, it doesn't take that long, but since I'm explaining it, it feels like it takes a long time, but it doesn't. All right, so that's the hypotenuse. Let me get rid of all this mess, and I'll rewrite this number, which is 2 square root of 22. All right, 2 square root of 22. All right, now we got to find the sine of j, which is the opposite side, which is this one, over the hypotenuse, which is this one. So sine, let me just write that. Sine of j equals square root of 22 over 2 square root of 22. I actually wish this one's going to end up being easy now because the square root of 22 cancels out. And this is going to end up being my answer. I actually wish it was difficult so I could, keep going and show you how to get through the difficult ones. But anyways, this is the answer to this one. 1 over 2. All right, let's go to another example. If you didn't get that thing about how to simplify the radical sign, trust me, there should be another one coming up, so stay with me. Remember, defeat does not exist in this dojo. All right, so here, let's find the cosine of angle B. In order to find it, I first need the hypotenuse, right? So I'm going to do the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. All right, so, and I'm going to show you how you can do this fast, or kind of fast. So stay with me here. All right, so 4 square root of 5. All right, so just another reminder. Remember that when you have this situation, the answer is always, the answer, get out of the way there. The answer is always whatever number is here, okay? So the answer is 5, right? All right, so I'm going to use that to explain how to do this fast in your mind, all right? At least part of it. So square root of 2 squared is going to be 2, right? Because square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. So square root of 2 squared is 2. And then 2 times 9. You follow me? Like 3 squared, this is what I'm saying. This is going to end up being 9 because 3 to the second power is 9 times 2. That's what I'm doing in my brain. So the answer is 18. Do the same thing here. First of all, 4 squared is 16. And square root of 5 times square root of 5 is 5. But really try to do this mental math. So this is going to give me 80. Why did I put that parentheses there? Sorry. All right. So this gives me 98 equals c squared. Okay, now let me just check something real quick. All right, so look. So now to get c, we got to get the square root of 98. So look, let me do that. I'm going to erase this. I got to get square root of 98, all right, just to make space here. Square root of 98. Let me change colors. All right, so look. Let me purposely pick. I'm going to purposely pick the numbers that don't lead me to the answer right away. So look, 98 ends in an even number. So that means I could do 2 times something to get 98. In this case, 2 times, I messed up. This is the right answer already. Or the quickest way to get the right answer, I should say. Whatever. I think this may be our only combination, so let's just leave it like that. Okay, but look, I know this is already my quickest combination to get the right answer because right there, 49, I could get the square root of 49, which is 7. So the 7 goes outside the radical sign. I can't get the square root of 2, so that stays here. Now look, let me continue to break it down so that you can see that the 2 explanations I gave you make sense, all right? So let's say I break up 98 into all the prime numbers that you multiply to get 98, okay? So look, is 2 a prime number, yes or no? Yes, 2 is a prime number. Is 49 a prime number, yes or no? No, it's not. I could break it up into 7 times 7. Now 7 is a prime number. So now I got all the prime numbers that you multiply to get 98. Now remember what I said, if a number appears twice, you put it outside the box. Why? Because if it appears twice, that represents this number, 49, which maybe you didn't realize at first. Let's pretend, okay? And that means I could have gotten the square root of 49, which is 7, and it goes outside the box. So once you see that a prime number appears twice, you can just go like that and put it outside the box one time, or outside the radical sign. Okay, so now let me erase this. So the hypotenuse is 7 square root of 2. And we got to find cosine of angle B. All right, so that means that the cosine of B is going to equal 4 square root of 5 over 7 square root of 2. Okay, I'm happy I got this. Why? Because there's something I wanted to point out to make sure you don't get confused. Okay, I said that you cannot have a radical sign in the denominator. So to get rid of it, what I multiply by is just this part, not the 7. Okay, don't include the 7. I only multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 2. All right. So now look. So when I multiply the bottom part, square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2, and 2 times this 7 is 14. If you didn't get that, let me explain it another way down here. Hopefully you got it, but basically this is what's happening. 7 square root of 2 times square root of 2 equals 7 square root of 4, because you multiply the stuff that's underneath the radical sign together. And wait, did I do that? Yeah. And then the square root of 4 is 2, so I end up doing 7 times 2. That's how I got 14, right? Okay? On the top, I'm going to get 4 square root of 10. Okay, now the square root of 10, I cannot simplify that any further because I can only break it up into 2 times 5. Those are the prime numbers that you multiply to get 10. And each one of those numbers only appears once. So in other words, I cannot simplify that any further. However, I can simplify the 4 over the 14. Divide them both by 2, and you're going to get 2 over 7, 2 square root of 10 over 7. So this is my answer. This is the cosine of B. All right, let's see if I got more examples here. Yes, I do. All right, so here we got to find the sine of angle F. So this one, I don't need to use the Pythagorean theorem. I got all the sides. So the sine of angle F would be the opposite side over the hypotenuse. This one's going to end up being easy, but whatever. Let's look at it. Sine of F is going to equal 8 square root of 2 over 16. Basically, the 8 into 16, you simplify it, and you get this. 8 over 16 is 1/2. Whoa, that came out ugly. But what did I? Oh, yeah, that's a 2. All right. 8 over 16 is 1/2, but when there's a 1 here, you don't write it. It just stays invisible. So that's my answer. All right. Wait, is that the same one? No, that's a different one. All right. So on this one, I got to also find the sine of angle F, but first I got to find the hypotenuse, which is going to be, so a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I think this is a basic one, but whatever. I put it here, so let me just look at it. So it's going to be 6 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. 36 plus 36 equals c squared. So, oh, you know what? Good. At least it'll let us practice. No, actually, this may involve some good practice. So let's look at it. All right. So to get c, I got to get the square root of 72. To get c, I got to get the square root of 72. To make space, I'm going to erase this so that I could do the square root of 72. All right. So square root of 72. Okay. You know what? This is a good one to. Let me pick the wrong combination. By the wrong combination, I mean a combination that's going to take me a couple steps to get to my final answer, right? Look, the right combination is 9. No, actually, it's not. Let me just pick 2 times 36. Oh, yeah. I just tried to pick the wrong combination and pick the right combination. So whatever. Let me pick instead. Let me pick 9 times 8. All right, my bad. Let me pick that. All right. So look, let's break it up until all I have is all the prime numbers that you multiply to get 72. I mean, once you get better at this, you'll see the shortcuts. Like, the thing is, you got to do it to realize the shortcuts, in my opinion. All right, so 9, I can break it up into 3 times 3, which are the prime numbers that you multiply to get 9. 8, I could break it up into 2 times 4. 2 is a prime number. 4 is not. 4, I could break it up into 2 times 2. All right, so again, if a number appears twice, I could take it out. So the 3 appears twice, so there's going to be a 3 outside the radical sign. The 2 appears 3 times, but I said if it appears twice, you put it outside the radical sign, and you're going to have to, if there's already a number out there, you're going to have to multiply it with that number. And this 2 is left lonely with no friends, so he just stays inside his little box, living his sad life. All right, so 3 times 2 is 6. So this is square root of 72 simplified is this. Now, you know what? Let me show you a little trick, boys and girls, young cobras. All right, look, here's a little trick so that you could realize what would have been the quickest way to get my answer. Okay, simplified, I got 6 square root of 2. If I were to go backwards, if I go backwards and put the 6 underneath the radical sign, okay, just square the 6, and this would have been the quickest combination. If you put the 6 back underneath the radical sign, I'm undoing what I did when I took it out. So if you put it back underneath the radical sign, I got 36 times 2, which leads me back to this, right? So I'm telling you because you're going to notice that situation. That'll help you like realize, oh, what would have been the quickest way to get my answer? If I would have done 36 times 2 or 2 times 36, that would have been the quickest way to get my answer, because then I could have just said, oh, the square root of 36 is this 6. And this 2 will stay by itself underneath the radical sign. All right, so my simplified answer for the hypotenuse is 6 square root of 2. Okay, but now I got to find the sine of angle F. All right, so the sine of angle F is the opposite side over the hypotenuse. So sine of F equals 6 over 6 square root of 2. Okay, so the 6's are going to cancel out. Boom. All right, so I'm going to have 1 over square root of 2. However, remember I said you cannot have a radical sign in the denominator. If you put that as your answer, it's going to get marked wrong. You got to simplify that correctly by getting rid of the radical sign in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 2. Okay, all right, so the bottom square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. 1 times square root of 2 is square root of 2. That's my answer. That's my correctly simplified answer. All right. What else we got? Anything else? Nope. That's it. That's all the examples I got. So hopefully that'll help you guys out. All right. Whatever. Hope that helps. Good luck on your R1. But remember that Cobra Kai doesn't need luck. We make our own luck. We strike first. We strike hard. The best defense is more offense. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Hope this helps you guys out.